The whole objective of unmasking is how do you eliminate the interviewer bias, right? Whether you're doing a competency-based interview, right? It's a perceptions matter. Perception of the interviewers can be wrong. That is why they say maintain each employee's strengths, work on fixing a her weakness is a strict no, right? Or it's a behavioral event. It's again a perception that plays in. So now that's where let's understand the science, so that we can go a little more deeper. How does your attitude impact your behavior? If you notice, it is like a huge iceberg phenomena, observable behavior outside. But if you look at the iceberg, what is hidden is attitude, ways of thinking of the candidate, or the behavior needed to fulfill responsibility is completely hidden. You need scientific methodology, right, to dig deeper into understanding attitude. So this is where very comfortably people actually don't even probe into it. That is where we spoke about the willingness and the performance, that particular window of beliefs, attitude, values, personality, all that is completely ignored. Second, you talked about aptitude, natural ability that prepares a person to fulfill responsibility. This was the question that Sumit was asking. Areas of improvement. Look at the word natural ability. If there is a natural ability, if the person is not developed the natural ability, yes, is it trainable? Is that can that aspect be improved? 100% possible, right? And one can definitely do it. Otherwise, no. That is why you need to understand the inner mind of the candidate. The third is a skill, right? Acquired ability or experience needed to fulfill the responsibility. I may have the natural ability, but I may not have acquired the ability. Like I gave you the example of swimming or probably singing. I have the talent, but I never went to a music class, so that is why I'm not able to sing. So it's an acquired ability. And then, of course, the knowledge is what you're talking about, information and understanding that is needed to fulfill responsibility. If you notice, all these four are below the waterline. It is not observable. So that is why when you unmask a candidate, you are actually digging deeper. Yes, it is easier to dig the knowledge part of it, right? You ask questions, right? What can you do, right? Or what you are, do you have the ability, if you're trainable, possible, right? You can also dig the skill or the aptitude, but attitude seems to be the hidden block that actually challenges. So that's why when we say behavioral event interviewing, behavior is an observable phenomena. You can see it, but what goes inside is the knowledge, the skill, the aptitude, and the attitude. And that's where the whole challenge is of how do we unmask a candidate's inner mind to find the right kind and avoid hiring in a blind. So let's go back and look at very quickly Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham, the Johari window. So they said there are four windows. All of you are familiar with this. Open window is known to self, known to others, right? And the hidden window is known to self, but not known to others. The candidate is not revealing oneself. Then you have the blind spot or the blind window, which is known to others, but the candidate does not know himself. And of course, there is the unknown window, right, which is not known to either. We can't make out in a candidate, neither the candidate himself knows about oneself. So when you look at this, the Johari window model was developed by American psychologists Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham in the 1950s while researching group dynamics. Today, the Johari window model is especially relevant due to modern emphasis on behavior, attitude, empathy, cooperation, intergroup development, as well as interpersonal development. These qualities in people we recruit or promote makes a vital difference to the organizational growth and development. And that's why it becomes very important for us to look at it. So now let's apply this. The Johari window model is also referred to as a disclosure feedback model of self-awareness, and by some people as an information processing tool. So when you look at that dimension, the Johari window actually represents information. How does a candidate feel? What is his experience? What are his views, attitude, skills, intentions? Look, intention is in the mind, deep inside, motivation, etc. Right? Within or about a person in relation to their people, in relation to the four perspectives which are described as we go along now. So now you look at that, the Johari window, we spoke about it. No candidate, known to interviewer. Unknown to candidate, known to the interviewer. Known to the candidate, unknown to the interviewer, and unknown to both the people. So now this one, is a sports person, has 2 years experience, knows 3 languages, right? Known to self as well as known to others. Then you have the unknown to self, my body posture, incorrect grammar, talking loudly, talking too softly. Yes, unknown to self, but known to the interviewer or known to others. Whereas you look at this, unknown to others, but known to self, family relations, on-time person, frequent liar, these things you don't know really, right? So, and of course, unknown to self, fear of death, hidden talent, repressed or subconscious thoughts, etc., etc., etc. Now, the beauty is when you apply Johari window to get to know the candidate deeper and better, minus the masking, our job in an internal view is to open the window, make the open window bigger and bigger. So by asking feedback solicitation or by self-disclosure, exposure, probing, etc., you're able to minimize the blind area or the hidden area. Thereby, the open area becomes larger, right? But still the unknown area still remains. And unfortunately, when we talk about average performers and poor performers, which forms almost 87% of the candidates who come in front of you, open is very small. That is why in an interview, if you are not using all the scientific methodology, it is difficult to probe. However good you may be as a prober, right? It is difficult to probe because it is difficult to read inner mind. So that is where the science of behavioral sciences or psychology comes in reality. So the key lies in objectively unmasking the glue-like mindsets, the die-hard habits, and the concrete wall-like attitudes behind every behavior displayed by the individual during the interview, and mapping the same in line with the required competency and the job role. So now let's go into adopt the BAT route for recruiting. Right now, when we say BAT route, we are talking about B, A, and T, right? So behavior, B for behavior, A for attitude, T for thinking. So this is the 3 aspects that we are looking at. When you look at BAT, behavior is caught in the environment one lives, right? And the attitude is inherited and developed over the years by the surroundings. And that's where, so that means if behavior is difficult to change after you hire, even more difficult is attitude. So then what happens? The only savior for growth and progress happens to be the thought process, the thinking. So when you look at unmask the hidden elements, you are looking at the BAT kind of a dimension.